welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. What a beautiful day in Cowtown, and it's so good to be back here after the snow, sleet, and ice. We are pleased that all of you have chosen to spend your time today sharing a wonderful Friday lunch with your fellow Rotarians. Providing today's invocation is Past President Kirk Driver, Captain, City of Fort Worth Police Department. He will be followed by our rendition of the Star Spangled Banner, accompanied by Harriet Harrell, Principal, the Harrell Group. Past President Kirk.
Thank you, Ann. Let us pray. Gracious Father, Lord, we are so blessed, and we acknowledge that those blessings come from you, Lord, and we are thankful for every day that you've given us. We thank you for this group of people that we have and the fellowship that we have among us, the friendships that we've made, Lord. Father, we thank you for this great nation that we live in. We thank you for those first responders, those soldiers, sailors, and Marines that serve to keep us safe each and every day, Lord. We thank you for this city that we live in. We thank you for the leadership that you've given us in all city, state, and national realm. We ask that you give them wisdom. We ask that you give them courage. We ask that you give them compassion. Lord, we ask that you, above all else, let us follow the tenets of Rotary, which are so close, and mirror that of your own, which is service above self, Lord. I thank you for this meal. I ask you use it to the nourishment of our bodies, minds, and souls, that we may focus on doing your good word, your good will. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Kirk and Harriet. Here to welcome our guest is Tim Halden, who is a member of the USS Fort Worth Support Committee. Tim.
Thank you, President Ann. You know, the tradition of the club is to individually introduce everyone as a guest. Due to time constraints and the number of guests we have today, we're going to ask all of our guests to please stand up so we can recognize you. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate your interest in the club, and we hope to see you here again soon.
Thank you, Tim. Today's meeting is proudly sponsored by Crystal Galvan, Vice President of Growth and Partnerships for MGT. A longtime champion for Texas social impact, Crystal is now heading MGT's expanded management consulting presence in our state and region, helping municipal and local leaders scale their strategic visions. Thank you, Crystal and MGT. We appreciate you. Now, please join me in reciting Rotary's four-way test, which underscores Rotary's value of integrity and serves as a guide for all we think, say, and do. Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. And now for a lighthearted look at the news is one of our veteran newscasters, Harriet Harrell. Harriet?
Thank you so much. and welcome to today's edition of the Harriet Herald. Let's start with the weather because, duh. If you've spent these snow days with children or grandchildren, you are probably a little stir crazy. Here's the level of humor we've been living with. What do snowmen eat for breakfast? Frosted Flakes. What do you get when you cross a snowman and a vampire? Frostbite. And what do you call a snowman with a six-pack? An abdominal snowman. Oh my, how have we coped? I found myself dressed like I was going to climb Mount Everest, and then I bravely headed out to Target. My car dashboard said 22 degrees, and then it said, "Are you sure about this?" The check engine light came on just to share its feelings, and the windshield wipers moved slowly like they were doing yoga. And everything shut down. Well, everything except the stock show and rodeo, of course. You know, every year when this legendary thing comes on, the weather turns terrible. Now, I'm not saying that the stock show causes the weather. I'm just saying, think about it. But everything else closed. The schools closed preemptively, then closed again, just to be sure, and then sent helpful emails explaining again that they were closed in case you were holding out hope for learning or for getting the kids out of the house. And Texans reacted the way we know how, by posting pictures of temperatures like we personally discovered cold. And then we defrosted. And tonight it's coming back. In international news, 2 beloved pandas in Japan are being returned to China. Their departure will leave Japan with no pandas for the first time in more than half a century. These pandas have lived in Japan for years. They speak Japanese fluently. They bow politely. They probably prefer sushi. And yet, China has said, we want them back. Economists are very concerned. They predict that the absence of pandas at the zoo will cost the equivalent of hundreds of millions of dollars. In the world's second largest economy, entire industries depend on 2 bears who sleep 18 hours a day and eat bamboo like it's their full-time job. Actually, it is their full-time job. All this has led to farewell ceremonies, crying children, adults in tears. And when the economists started crying, it became clear this is an emotional support bear situation. Speaking of attachment to things that may or may not belong to us, you've probably been reading about Fort Worth and its dispute with Willow Park over their annexing 300 acres of land that each is claiming is in its extraterritorial jurisdiction. The actual definition of extraterritorial jurisdiction is basically cities saying, that land over there, we're not using it yet, but we are emotionally attached. And what is happening right now is a municipal version of calling dibs with lawyers. Willow Park says, mine. Fort Worth says, no, mine. And Alito chimes in with, Mom said I could have it. This seems to be a recurring issue for Fort Worth, Jay. Back in 2002, I was inspired to write a song for a Rotary newscast about a conflict then over Fort Worth wanting land, lots of land, and I'm afraid it needs a reprise today. Willow Park, give us land, and Alito's on our side. We'll fence it in. We want 300 acres, and we won't be denied. We'll fence it in. It's our extraterritorial jurisdiction. You might not like it, but it sure ain't fiction. And we don't care if it causes friction. We'll fence it in. Honestly, it's comforting. Even in record-breaking cold, our city of Fort Worth is hot to trot when it comes to land. And that's today's news from the Harriet Herald.
Harriet never disappoints us. Thank you. Today we have a special treat. We have not only a number of sailors from the USS Fort Worth, but the commanding officer, Commander Dana Canby. He's here and going to share a few words with us. Please join me in giving Commander Canby and the sailors a warm Fort Worth welcome.
Thank you so much for having my sailors and I here today. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be skipper of USS Fort Worth and to be with you all here today, getting a taste of our namesake city. I want to introduce my sailors real quick. If you could stand up for me. With me today I have... With us here today, I have engineman fireman Belen Gomez. She is 19 years old, less than 1 year on board, already a top-tier diesel mechanic and engineer. GM3 Gunner's Mate Third Class Ryan Riddle, give us a wave. Yeah. Our Blue Jacket of the Year, that is our top E3 sailor, and now a new dad, so really excited to have him with us here. Information Technician, Second Class Jasmine Lopez. She is a San Diego native. She makes up 1/3 of my communications department, so good luck to the ship while she's out here with me. I have Logistics Specialist Third Class Jacob Bradenberg. He is effectively our supply officer on board, normally a position held by a commissioned officer. He is getting us everything we need to train our sailors and keep our ship afloat. Next, I have Engineman Second Class Joel Plaza. He is our Sailor of the Year, top second class on board. He is one of the youngest readiness control officers in the squadron. He is the most junior readiness control officer on board, and he earned that the hard way, passed a series of aggressive test boards and simulations to earn that title. So very proud to have him with us here. Next, I have Boatswain's Mate First Class Riadan Steedham. She runs our deck department, repainted our entire ship over the course of the last few months. She is the top boatswain's mate in our entire squadron. And also just yesterday, she finished her master's degree. So big hand for Rianne. Next, I have Chief Operations Specialist Rafael Serrars. He is doing too many things on board to mention, advises me personally on a lot of our different sailor type issues. In his free time, he controls FA-18s and Seahawk helicopters. So just an all-around impressive sailor, and it's a privilege to have him with us out here today. And finally, I've got Command Senior Chief Ricky Wright. Where are you? Bam, there we go. He has 2 months in the Command Senior Chief role, dove straight into it. He's our main liaison between the sailors and me, advocates for them at every level, both at the squadron level and even next month he's traveling to Millington to make sure that we can do the best that we can for our sailors on board. So lately, while we have been in Port San Diego, we've been focused very heavily on training our crew. That's how we ended up with the youngest readiness control officer on board. That's how we ended up with the only respiratory protection program on any LCS, the only Navy afloat maintenance training system on board, any littoral combat ship. That's all on board your ship, ladies and gentlemen. We do all that to build our sailors' skills and self-sufficiency, and that we know that that is what it's going to take to survive in combat at sea. Additionally, there has been a Rough Rider, that's one of our sailors, one of your sailors, on board every littoral combat ship deployment in 2025 and all of the ones that are already taking place in 2026. A Rough Rider has been on board with every amphibious readiness group deployment and on 3 destroyer deployments to every fleet in the world. And I'm so proud of the work that those sailors are doing out there. I want to thank this group especially for your support of the ship. I know that due to this group, we have our name, you have your ship, and it is such an honor and a privilege to represent you out in San Diego. On a smaller but still very significant level, I really appreciate all the cards that you have sent all of our crew members. These guys look forward to the books that you send all the time. I hope you've read all those. If not, I can give you a couple recommendations out of that group as I get my hands on what's left over at the end, and it is just such a privilege to get to be on board a ship that is this well supported by a town. So thank you so much. Oh, let's see. I'll go this way.
Thank you so much, Commander Canby. We have something for you and all the sailors here today. We know the importance and tradition of challenge coins in the military. For each of you, we have a Rotary challenge coin to remind you that the Rotary Club of Fort Worth is proud of you and a supporter of all who have served on the USS Fort Worth, wherever you may be. Thank you for serving your country and for joining us today. Thank you.
We'd also like to present this plaque from the ship to the Fort Worth Rotary Club. It says, "Thank you to the Fort Worth Rotary Club for modeling service above self to the Rough Riders and to your community."
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, that's hard.
One of our signature service projects is the awarding of grants to nonprofits in Fort Worth who are providing outstanding services to our community. Here to present 2 checks is President-elect Tom Law, owner VCL Commercial Real Estate Services, LLC. Tom?
Unnecessary, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thanks, President Ann. I am pleased and honored to be able to present these grant awards on behalf of the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. You all remember the generosity by so many members into our endowments is what produces these grants, and we're very happy to be able to give them today. The first is for Pathfinder's project. This information was provided to me. I did a little bit of research also, but I'm going to read it as provided. When clients enroll in Pathfinder's Veterans Program, they complete an intake process with our veterans specialist to determine which services are the most appropriate fit for their situation. Pathfinders provides veteran clients with a menu of veteran-specific services that allow them to select the support they need the most, though often these clients choose to receive as many services as possible. These services are offered both virtually and in person, as well as in English and Spanish to increase participant access. In 2026, Pathfinders proposes to serve 75 veterans through our veterans program, in addition to their family members through 2-generation programming. Since this is an existing program, new clients can enroll and receive services without delay. A veteran receiving services through the Veterans Program is typically active in the program for 1 year. Pathfinder's Veterans Program provides services to veteran clients in 3 distinct areas: self-sufficiency mentoring, financial coaching, and employment coaching. Additionally, veteran clients facing financial hardship may receive emergency financial assistance that typically includes assisting with utility bills, rent or mortgage payments, car and home repairs, eyeglasses, and exams, and critical document acquisitions such as birth certificates, driver's licenses, and Social Security cards. I'd like to welcome Missy Cowart and Adrian Walker with Pathfinders to accept this gift. You want to say something real quick? Okay. Thank you all very much. We really do appreciate you being here, and we're proud to be able to give this to you. Thank you. Let's step right up here.
Love it. Thank you.
Our next grant is being awarded to the Wellman Project. Oh, so a lot of us know about that too. Many children in Fort Worth lack access to high-quality, engaging STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's not STEM, it's STEAM now. Education that builds critical skills like problem-solving and creativity. This project to build Makerspace Classroom addresses this by providing free, transformative STEAM experiences that demystify complex concepts through hands-on project-based learning. Using repurposed materials, we lower barriers to creative expression, ensuring that a lack of expensive resources is never a barrier to innovation. We're fostering an environment where curiosity, resourcefulness, and creative courage can flourish, preparing youth for future academic and career success. Our primary beneficiaries are underserved youth from Fort Worth ISD. We anticipate serving 60+ students in our first year of free classes and camps, along with hundreds more through field trip opportunities. A secondary beneficiary is local educators whom we will equip with innovative, low-cost teaching strategies through free professional development workshops, impacting an estimated 500 teachers each year. This classroom will continue to serve thousands of teachers and students for many years to come. I think that pretty much said it all. And I'm familiar with this organization. I have a lot of things occasionally that I take to them on their present location on Vickery. They're moving to a new location, and you'll tell us that address real quick. And just very pleased that we can also present this to the Wellman Project. And what is that new address?
We are moving to the historic Kimball Milling Company building at 2109 South Main Street, coming this spring. See you there.
Thanks very much. President Ann?
Thank you, Tom, and congratulations to the Wellman Project and to Pathfinders. We look forward to hearing from you about the success of your programs. Membership in the Rotary Club of Fort Worth is growing. Today, we have one blue badge presentation and 2 new member introductions. I'll start by calling Gina Scholl to the stage to receive her blue badge, which means that she has completed 6 acts of service. Gina. Thank you. Next, past President Rebecca Montgomery and Jonathan Berry are here to introduce 2 new members. Rebecca, you go first, followed by Jonathan.
Thank you, President Ann. Good afternoon, everyone. What a great group. This is fun. It's a real joy to introduce Linda Boswell, business broker and partner with Transworld Business Advisors right here in the DFW Metroplex. Linda is a go-to expert for what's often called Main Street businesses, from restaurants, service companies, medical practices to manufacturing and distribution. She partners closely with business owners to help them grow smarter, plan smarter, and understand the true value of what they've built. Before stepping into business brokerage, Linda built a successful career in the hotel industry. She understands the deep appreciation for the dedication it takes to run a business and has a passion for helping owners turn their hard work into lasting value. She brings over 25 years of nonprofit leadership and community involvement, numerous boards, helping raise several $1 million for children's charities and women's shelters nationwide. Her commitment to service, leadership, and giving back perfectly reflects the values of Rotary and makes her a natural fit for our organization. With her professional expertise, servant leader, heart, and deep community roots, I believe she will be an amazing Rotarian, someone who strengthens our club, lifts others, and truly embodies service above self. Please join me in giving a big Rotary welcome to Linda Boswell. Linda, welcome to your Rotary family.
Thank you, Rebecca. Wow, I think that said it all. I don't want to see much else. As she said, I'm a business broker, and I took a couple notes because they said I only had 2 minutes. So I work with business owners, and during that pivotal transition, it's very emotional for people to sell their businesses, but what I love about that is just honoring what they've built and being able to pass that on as a legacy to the other people. What truly motivates me is the connection and service. Which is why Rotary was really important to me. I've heard about Rotary for many years. My dad was involved in Rotary years ago, many, many years ago, and so I had heard about it as a kid growing up. The values of integrity, service above self, and meaningful relationships align closely with how I try to work and live my life each day. Okay, as a fun fact, stick with me for one more minute. I had a real life experience that briefly turned into a real life police drama. When I was working in Newport Beach in California years ago, I got a call that my house in Seal Beach had been broken into. When I arrived, the entire neighborhood had been blocked off, and they ushered me into a SWAT command vehicle, and I had to map out my home. It's a little tiny beach house, and they said, "Is there an attic?" And I go, "I don't know, I just rent the place." So I told them what it was. Turned out I did have an attic, and the gentleman that had broken into my home had crawled up in the attic and crawled down in between the walls. They shot 5 canisters of tear gas and 1 concussion bomb up into the attic. The dog wouldn't even go there. And fire trucks everywhere, because I guess it can catch on fire. And yeah, eventually they pulled the guy out. He had pushed his hand through when the concussion bomb hit to get air. I guess it sucks the oxygen out. I had lots of new furniture, a $3,500 dry cleaning bill. And on the front page of the Orange County Register, it had 2 SWAT guys with gas masks carrying this guy out of my house. So I learned that day that values of staying calm, trusting God, and good people to do their jobs, and leaning on the community were lessons that still guide me today. I'm grateful to be here and look forward to serving alongside all you wonderful people. Thank you.
I feel like it's been a while since we've had a good Aggie, so howdy, y'all. I am pleased to introduce Ms. Sue Kristoff, and although she is an Iowa Hawkeye and a Yankee, and I may have found the only one from Chicago that doesn't know what Rotary or who Paul Harris is, she is greatly excited to join our club and to be a service to Fort Worth. Sue moved 3 years ago from up north. She says she likes the winters better here, except for maybe this last week. And her husband is a 5th-generation Fort Worthian, so it truly proves that you can't ever take anyone out of Fort Worth for very long. They have 1 daughter. She lives in Portland, Oregon, and they enjoy visiting her. She had a wonderful trip to Portugal this summer. Asked her about it. She said the food was amazing, and we are very excited to have her join our club.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jonathan, thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I want to thank you for sponsoring me to this wonderful organization, along with my co-sponsor, Courtney Lewis. I'm not sure if she's here, but I wanted to thank her as well. Hey, there you are. Okay, great. So as Joshua mentioned, Fort Worth is my new hometown after almost 3 years. And I relocated from Chicago, where I grew up. And as I've learned, since my husband was from here, went to high school, went to Castleberry, went to Texas Wesleyan, I was destined to be a Fort Worth resident at some point. So we've been married 35 years. Our daughter is 30 years old, moved to Portland, and that kind of made the right opportunity for us to move to Fort Worth. And the move has been a meaningful new chapter for me since I've lived most of my life in Chicago, and I truly enjoy becoming part of the Fort Worth community. Professionally, I've spent my career in financial services, first half of my career in institutional asset management, second half in private wealth, and today I'm a partner and lead advisor to multi-generational families, helping them achieve their goals. So while my work is national, my community is really important to me, and giving back, especially in education and health. So back in Chicago, I was a member of the Community Memorial Foundation board and committees for 12 years, where we worked to elevate the health of the region in Chicago that I was a part of. I just moved off of that committee, and so I was looking for a new opportunity to serve my new hometown. And a year ago, Jonathan and I had lunch, and he said, I think, Rotary would be a great opportunity for you. And brought me to lunch, and it really resonated with me. I've also served on the University of Iowa Finance Advisory Council for 3 years, collaborating with educators and alumni and mentoring students. So service is a big part of my life, and Rotary's motto, service above self, really resonated with me. And I just want to close with a quote that kind of captures why I'm honored to join today. And the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service to others. So thank you for welcoming me, and I look forward to serving alongside you. Thank you very much. Congratulations again to Gina, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth, Linda and Sue. We're happy that you've joined Rotary and look forward to getting to know you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Rosa Maria Berdeja. You know Rosa as the chairman of the RLK RMBA Business Awards, and by the way, tomorrow is the deadline for nominations. But Rosa is also the principal attorney in the law offices of Rosa Maria Berdeja, and she is here to introduce today's speaker. Rosa.
So we have Jay Chapa and Mexican food. How about that? That makes for a good Friday to me. When I first learned that I would be introducing Jay today, I made a commitment to myself that I was going to prepare diligently because I wanted to do a really good job. I wanted to be able to share with you about Jay the person and not just Jay the professional, with the impressive resume and the life filled with countless career accomplishments and recognitions. I'm sure you all read all about that in Aurora's email this week. How he's a highly respected leader with extensive experience in local government and a decades-long career, yes, decades, that's plural, with the city of Fort Worth. But I wanted to bring you a little more than that, so I made it my mission to learn about Jay the person. I first went to Google, and there was not much going on there. So then I went to social media, and it turns out Jay does not partake in social media, so that was another dead end for me. And just when I was about to give up and resort to just reading his resume to you all, my luck changed. My husband Ed and I attended a fundraiser for scholarship students. And well, you can imagine my delight when I look at the list of auction items and they're auctioning off lunch with Jay and Evelise at the Fort Worth Club. How did I get so lucky? It wasn't cheap, but I was committed, so I bid and I won. I spent the next couple of weeks in full investigative journalist mode, preparing for that lunch. Chris Cobbler, you would have been so proud of me. I came up with a list of carefully curated questions about all the important things that I felt this club would want to know about Jay. What is his skincare routine? What is his go-to Starbucks order? Who is his favorite Jonas brother? I rehearsed each day, and I even had my husband Ed sit across the table from me and play the part of Jay until I had every question memorized. And the day finally came, and I was ready, you all. My husband and I will show up, and for the next 2 hours, Evelise and I listened to Jay and Ed talk about sports and movies from the 70s. It was all about them. However, at one point, Ed did step away to get a second helping of the bread pudding, so I took advantage of that opportunity and I slipped one question. And I asked Jay, how are you going to fix all of the problems of all of the people in Fort Worth? And he had a great answer. He shared his plan with me. It was wonderful. I'm certain it's going to work. I wrote it all down on a piece of paper, but unfortunately, I left it in my other coat, so I'm not prepared to share that with you guys today. But trust me, it was good. What I can share are a few fun facts that I got from Evelise about Jay the person. Jay is a music fanatic and enjoys going to concerts with his wife. Growing up, he spent his summers in California working with his brother-in-law as a property master on several TV shows, including Mork and Mindy and Coach. He is a loving husband to Evelise, who he met in college, and a total girl dad to their daughter, Emmy. And evidently, he can draw a huge crowd because there's a lot of you in this room who I have not seen in quite some time. So please join me in welcoming our Fort Worth City Manager, Jay Chapa.
I feel like I should walk off and just drop the mic. It's not going to get better than that. Well, thank you all for having me. Rosa, thanks for the ask to come and speak here. And I believe she outbid Chris Cobbler. And I thank you for that donation for scholarships. So when I was getting ready to do this, I put together some information and I fed it to AI, asking it to produce a really, really fun and strong and a presentation that everybody would be glued to. And then I remember, after it spit everything out, I was going through it and I remembered the four-way test of Rotary, and well, I had to throw that away. Is it the truth? No. Will it build goodwill? No. So you're just going to get a run-of-the-mill presentation. I'm going to provide a little background because really there's at the end of the day, the two things I want you to remember is the things I talk about, and it's more for your information and for you to draw your own conclusions, but related to the state legislature next year as we're going forward, and also our bond program. I did see one of our council members, Dr. Mia Hall. She's back here. Is there any others here? Oh, there's Alan. Alan Blaylock, thank you all for being here. I'm sure all of y'all really came to see the commander and his crew. Thank you all for being here. So for those who follow City of Fort Worth, some of these slides, you'll have the background on it, but it's really building up to the next piece. Let's see if I can make this work. Okay. So just a little background. So this past year, as we put together our budget, so I'm going to give a little budget background. Really, we continue in Fort Worth. Everybody hears it all the time. I hear it from different places. We're either the 11th or the 10th largest city in the country, depending what day we're around, or what day of the week it is, and whether or not something's going on in Austin and half our population is down there or going on somewhere else. TCU's in a bowl game, and so they move out of town. So it's between us and Austin, apparently, that between 10 and 11. And we continue to grow really, really quickly. And so as we were moving forward, there were several changes in the state, really in Tarrant County, related to the Tarrant Appraisal District, that we were really concerned when we were trying to put our budget together about what on the property tax side was going to be the impact of not reappraising single-family properties, because that's one of the things that's kept flat, and it's going to be kept flat again this year. So if you have if you own a single-family home, your value is not going to go up this year, and in fact, it might go down. And so that just, when you look at a city's budget, about 60% of our general fund budget comes from property taxes. So it makes a big difference for us. And so we were concerned. And so one of the things I asked coming in new, and I've been with the city, not new, but new enough, and we've been gone for about 3 years, 3 budget cycles. I asked every department to come forward with a budget that was 1% below their existing budget, their target budget. And I also asked them to put together a 3% what-if package, because we didn't know what was going to happen. At the end of the day, we went through that process. Not every department had the full amount taken or any taken. But at the end of the day, we were able to go forward with just a base budget starting with about a $13 million reduction in our overall budget from the previous year. When we had our final values come in, it ended up being much better than we had projected. So we were able to backfill things that we thought were important because the departments, I saw it as a good way of cutting maybe fat, right, that was in there that necessarily we didn't need. So some of that stuff stayed out. And we were able then to focus on areas of priority for the city council. Those included really sustaining the high service levels for police and fire and EMS. As you recall, the city brought in the MedStar EMS to the city. It's now part of the city, part of the fire department. And so that was a big lift for us to take in. Even though it's its own fund, it's subsidized by the general fund to the tune of about $20 million. We also wanted to expand some programs that had been brought forward, make it citywide. And I'm not sure if everybody knows about this program, but if you know people that need this help, it's called the Mobile Tool Shared Program. And that's basically if you don't have the money or don't have the equipment to mow your yard, edge your yard, trim your trees, those kind of things, you can call up the city, make an appointment, the tools will come and be dropped off. You finish your work, call them back, they'll come and pick it up, all for free. And the idea there is to try to reduce the number of code violations, try not to ticket folks, and try to turn neighborhoods around and keep them in better shape. You'd be amazed how well that program's worked. We did a pilot program, and for just less than twice the money, we were able to take it citywide, because most people have their own things, but the people that really need it have been taking advantage of it. And so as we moved forward, when we got the values in, you see here, and this is an important part from what I'll be talking about later, we had a change of the overall taxable value of existing properties of 3.4%. And primarily that was driven by commercial and the business side of things, because we actually went down in the values for single family homes because of the TAD not reappraising. So overall business values went up of existing properties. Then we had another 2.5% increase, all because of new growth. So we're growing quickly. There's a lot of growth that's coming forward. And so in total, we had 5.9%, as you see there. And so because of that, and because of some of the cuts we put in place, we were able to lower the tax rate and kind of continue David Cook's mantra of always squeezing the tax rate when we can by a 1/4 cent, while we grew some areas where we needed to add, especially on the infrastructure side, police, fire, and bringing in the new EMS system. And so remember those numbers at 5.9%. So we reduced the tax rate, and that tax rate reduction came from the operating side. We kept what we call the pay-go money, which is pay-as-you-go maintenance. You don't issue debt to do maintenance, you try not to, and so we keep that going forward, adding to that area. And then our debt service fund, we kept it flat so that we could support the upcoming bond program. At the end of the day, that's just all general fund, and most people just think about their property taxes and the sales taxes you pay, and that's what most people think about when you think about the city. But in total, our general fund's about $1.23 billion. Overall, operating funds are over $3 billion. That includes our water department, that includes the aviation, every piece of the conglomerate that is the city of Fort Worth, or any city. Our operating fund's about $3.1 billion. When you throw in our capital for the year, we're about $4.3 billion on an annual basis. So all that to say, And as we look forward, I mentioned the growth. We don't see any sign of our growth stopping. The COG is projecting that we'll be about 1.3 million people by 2050. So we'll be the same population basically that Dallas is now. Dallas is growing as well, not as fast as we are since they can't expand geographically. But it'll be a while before we catch them. But we will, as a region, I'm sure you've heard this before, we either already have surpassed Chicagoland as the third largest regions in the country, or we will by 2030 because of the growth that's happening in this area. And so all of this is creating, a lot of significant issues for us as we grow so quickly. We are growing out. And Harriet's song was awesome. I think she took a lot of that information from social media and the internet, and I can get with her afterwards and explain the whole ETJ issue. But I did hear two things this sort of I didn't think I was going to hear. One was ETJ in a song, and two, good Aggie. Those are the two things that that you don't hear every day. So anyway, so from a population standpoint, you'll see these areas that are dark. That's where we're growing. And so that means we need, as a city and as a community, we need to extend our infrastructure. We need to spend dollars in those areas in order to be able to support all these people that are coming, whether we want it or not. At the same time, we have all the areas that we already have that need to be rebuilt and need to be maintained. And so you have this conundrum, and it's not new for me as a city manager. Is that did I see Charles Boswell here? No, I thought I saw him in the line earlier. It goes all the way back since I first arrived in Fort Worth as a budget analyst in 1994, that you have this conundrum, right? The growth and the older parts of town. And as you continue, we're growing so fast, how you balance this is always an issue. Tied to that is the growth is driving values of properties. Even though the year over year, the overall average value of a house went down, again, tied to TAD more than anything, on the market side, it's pretty much flat. The fact that housing has become so much more expensive, basically about 45%, the average price of a home from 2019 to 2023, people's salaries have grown, but not at that same level. And so we have an affordable housing crisis, and I'd call it more of an attainable housing crisis. And it's not that there hasn't been an attempt to try to fill that, it's that there's more demand than there is availability. And that's really what's driving the whole thing. So going forward, so what are we doing to try to meet the needs of all this growth and to repair the older parts of town? In about 12 days, the city council will be taking up an action to set an election for May for an $845 million bond program. Before you are the various propositions that are being set. The streets and mobility is about 60% of the overall program. Traditionally, it's been closer to 65%, but it's gotten so big, there's only so much work we can get out. Plus, there were some additional areas where policy-wise, the city council wanted to put dollars to. For the first time, we'll have an affordable housing bond. It's only $10 million, and I hear those from those folks that are very pro-affordable housing. We've never had one in Fort Worth, so it's a step in that direction. And it is a commitment from the city council to do more in that area. And then one of the things that people look, when they look at this list, is the animal care and control. I want you all to be the judge. I want everybody to go out and vote. I'm not going to ask you to vote one way or the other. You all can decide whether you believe we're doing a decent job or good job as we move forward. But if you're concerned about any of these programs, I would suggest that you call up the city, go visit the locations. I would invite you to go see the Silcox Animal Control Center in Southeast Fort Worth, and then make a judgment on whether or not you think this is a good investment. And I would also suggest that you make it, maybe call out folks that work in these different areas, whether it's in the affordable housing side or in the construction side, in the streets. Take a drive up in Councilman Blaylock's district at rush hour up in Northwest Fort Worth and see whether or not we need to add additional funding for streets in that area. There's a lot of need and there's never enough money. But I bring all this up to just remind you all to try to vote, because the voter turnout in May elections is very low, and every vote does count. So for a little history, am I on the right? Yeah. Fort Worth's been growing so fast that we're in a every 4-year cycle for issuing bonds. And what you have here, and it's kind of a scattershot slide with the map, but it shows that these bond program projects cover the whole city, and city staff working with the city council uses data, tons of data, to try to prioritize what it is that what we need to prioritize to bring forward to the city council for approval. And you see that it touches the whole city, across the city. Not everybody gets exactly what they want. We had $2.45 billion of projects that we had to pare down to get to originally it was 820 million. Then our capacity went up with the TAD piece, so we were able to raise that a little bit. And so there's a lot of data that's crunched, there's a lot of information. This work has been going on for the last about 18 months, 16 to 18 months. And we had a series of public engagement meetings. I'm not gonna go through all of these, but we went throughout the city, and some parts of the city had better turnouts than other. We got feedback from our citizens, those that did attend, and part of that was some of the little changes that we had at the end. But we made an effort to engage the citizens to get their feedback, and at the end of the day, pretty much most of the bond program stayed exactly the same that was proposed in the summer. So going forward, I mentioned in about 12 days, we'll have an action by the city council to set the date for the May election, which is May 2nd. And we will then begin a process of doing an education campaign. The city cannot advocate one way or the other for a vote, but we need to educate our citizens of what's on the agenda and what's on the ballot. So that will be happening as we move forward. And so what I want to leave you with, all that to say is, hopefully I sold you that we do need capital, we do need the ability to have revenues to do our work, is that our state has been working for a while now to limit what local governments, not only cities, but counties and other taxing entities, on what we can and can't do on a revenue side, and now going forward, also apparently looking at the expenditure side. And one of the things that did pass in the last legislative session was when you go out to vote and you go to the proposition, the first 5 words you're gonna see before the start of the proposition is gonna say, "This is a tax increase." And then it'll say a proposition that's gonna start, every proposition will start, "This is a tax increase." We are not raising the tax rate to do this program. I just mentioned to you that TAD is not increasing the value of your house. So it'll not be a tax increase if you own a single family house. Just, that's a fact. I think what they were trying to convey is the city council would have the choice to, if this bond program wasn't put out there, to lower the tax rate on the debt service side and eliminate the capacity to issue $845 million in debt. And so you could lower the tax rate. And then that would be a lowering of your overall taxes. But I just want you all to know that when you go to vote, it's gonna say, This is a tax increase, and I just want, the state legislature can do whatever they like, but that in Fort Worth, because we have a appraisal district that is not changing single-family values, this will not be a tax increase because the value of your home is not going to go up. And so I wanted to make sure you all knew that. Secondly, looking forward, as a city manager, I'm concerned about our ability to meet the demands, even to the level that we're doing now, with some of the propositions that are being put forward at the state level. One of the big ones is the third bullet on your left side, which would basically limit spending growth across the city at 3.5%. I don't know about you, but most goods have been going up more in cost than 3.5%. And I showed you that original increase for this past year's appraisals. Our existing values went up 3.4%, and then our new value went up 2.5%. We would not get an ability to capture any of that revenue from the 2.5% of new value that didn't exist before. So if this would have happened this year, or if this was in place, we basically would have had all this growth, and us as taxpayers that are already here would have gotten no benefit from everybody that moved in and all the new businesses that showed up. And so I just want you all to know that. I'm not hoping not sounding doom gloom. This is not approved yet. What I'm saying is that all of us need to, if it's important to you, you need to engage with your elected officials at all levels, and to make sure that people are paying attention to some of the things that are being proposed and are being ultimately adopted, and what the impact it's going to have to you directly as a citizen. And when you pick up the phone and call me, or I see William here, I see a lot of city employees that are the audience, our abilities to deal with some of these things, and we can continue to cut things back, but you can only do that so long. And then services and levels of infrastructure are going to decrease. So that's my talk. And I'm happy to take any questions if you have time. If not, I'm going to stick around if you want to talk. Thank you.
Don't leave yet.
I won't.
Jay, thank you so much. You know, we are lucky to have a man like Jay Chapa as our city manager. And to recognize your program presentation to us, it's a tradition of the Rotary Club of Fort Worth to make a contribution in your honor to the Polio Plus Fund of Rotary International. For almost 40 years, Rotary has worked to eradicate polio, providing over 3 billion immunizations to children around the world. We appreciate your presence here, and remember, you're always welcome at Rotary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. And thanks to everyone for being here today, our local guests, the crew of the USS Fort Worth, especially our city manager, and of course, all Rotarians. What a great way to spend a Friday afternoon. And thank you to our meeting sponsor, MGT and Rotarian Crystal Galvan. We have just 3 announcements today. The Richard L. Knight Rotary Minority Business Awards 2026. We have some wonderful sponsors, starting with our presenting sponsor, Varghese Somerset, and a great list of sponsors, including Dynamic Development Strategies, Team Compton, First Bank of Texas, Decker Jones, Electroacoustics, Evolving Civil Engineering and Planning, Fairly Wealth Management, Lucas Funerals and Cremations, Miller Knoll, On the Spot Solutions, Solomon Bruce Consulting, and McKinsey Eason and Associates. It's not too late to add your name to this esteemed list. Don't forget, nominations are due tomorrow. And remember, we have a new award, the Emerging Minority Leader Award. If you have any questions, please see Rosa when we adjourn. Let's fill her inbox with all those nominations, but let's do it today. Second, the Board of Directors will be meeting immediately following this meeting in the President's Conference Room on the 11th floor. Please note this change in location. Next week, we have James T. Tyler Bardo from Lockheed Martin, who will be here to share news about the F-35 program. So that's 3 things to remember, all acronyms: RLK RMBA, BOD in the PCR, and F-35 next week. So, thank you. I want you to remember that this is a challenging world we live in. As we adjourn, I would ask that everyone stand and offer our thanks and appreciation to the men and women of the USS Fort Worth. Have a great weekend. See you next Friday.